Coaches, parents, students, and administrators. Visit PCADevZone.org.
Is this the tackle?
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The NFL Draft kicks off today in Pittsburgh. The 7 rounds will last 3 days. Round 1 begins today at 5 p.m. local time. The Rams have the 13th pick in the first round. The Chargers have number 22. The number 1 overall pick belongs to the Las Vegas Raiders. They're expected to take Indiana University quarterback and Heisman Trophy winner Fernando Mendoza. Live coverage of the draft will be on ESPN, ABC, and the NFL Network. The Dodgers are in a slump. They're 1-4 in their last 5 games. They were shut out 3-0 Wednesday night at San Francisco. In the Dodgers' last 2 games, they have a combined 7 hits and have left 15 runners on base. Dodger fans should not feel too concerned. It's early. At 16-8, the Dodgers have the second best record in Major League Baseball behind the 17-8 Atlanta Braves. The Dodgers wrap up their 7-game road trip today against the Giants. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, host of The Voice of Reason, weeknights at 7 p.m. here on KBLA Talk 1580, with a personal invitation for you to join me and Insight.me as we present The Healing Box, live at Inglewood's world-famous Miracle Theater, Saturday evening, May 23rd at 7 p.m. Look, I understand your attachment style has been running your life like a rogue algorithm, and nobody has had the courage to press pause. Until now, Dr. Bakoya McCall and yours truly are curating a night where clinicians, spiritualists, and an all-star panel of Black woman healers like Dr. Shalonda Sunshine Crawford, Dr. Jashana Johnson, and spiritualist Precious McGill will join some amazing spoken word artists and the legendary comedian Louis Dix to diagnose, disrupt, and heal your relational wreckage in real time. Listen, bring your trauma. As a matter of fact, bring your baby mama. No, bring your testimony. And if you're still texting your ex at 2 a.m., baby, you're not just invited, you're the target demo. Tickets are moving fast, so grab yours at themiracleinglewood.com before your dating history gets flagged as a pre-existing condition. That's themiracleinglewood.com. We'll see you there Saturday, May 23rd at 7 p.m.
Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse. Looking forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Listening to Smiley Audio Media's KBLA Talk 1580 live in Los Angeles, California, on YouTube and Facebook. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. And welcome to the J Lunch Club on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, where we meet daily from noon to 2 p.m. on the West Coast and each time zone you're in. Now, millions of people around the world know Tucker Carlson as the most influential and most disruptive voice in American media. Tucker joins me today for this hour. He previously hosted Fox News Channel's flagship prime cable news program, Tucker Carlson Tonight. It was the highest rated program in cable news history. But in the time we have, and hopefully this is just the beginning of many conversations to come, we want to get to know Tucker Carlson, quote, off the camera. What created and now motivates the man who revolutionized conservatism and became the scourge of the establishment, both left and right. Today's conversation with Tucker will give those of us who are wondering with a side eye about his about face. Today, we welcome an inside look into one of the most beloved and polarizing media figures in the nation. Tucker, welcome to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thanks for having me, Congressman. I appreciate it.
I'm honored that you're here. Tucker, let's jump right in. Tim Balk of the New York Times writes on April 21st, quote, "I want to say that I'm sorry for misleading the people," who's broken sharply with the president over the war in Iran. Tucker Carlson, who is often at Donald Trump's side during the 2024 presidential campaign, is now expressing remorse for that support, saying that he will long be tormented by his role helping Mr. Trump return to the White House. Mr. Carlson, a titan of conservative media who has broken sharply with Mr. Trump over the war in Iran, acknowledged that it was part of the reason that this is happening right now. It's not enough to say, well, I changed my mind, this is bad, I'm out. Mr. Carlson said in an episode on his podcast released Monday, "It's a moment to wrestle with our own consciences." Mr. Carlson said on his podcast, speaking with his brother Buckley, a former speechwriter for Mr. Trump, "We'll be tormented by it for a long time. I will be. And I want to say I'm sorry for misleading the people." Torment is defined as severe physical pain, extreme mental anguish, or source of such suffering. Common synonyms include agony, torture, misery, plague, and distress. Tucker, what is tormenting you?
The war with Iran is tormenting me, and that's what I was referring to. I campaigned for Trump in 2024. I defended Trump for many years on Fox News. I agreed with a lot of Trump's program, not all, but if you were to rank what was most important to me, I did not want the United States to enter into another regime change war in the Middle East, particularly against Iran. Not because I love Iran or hate Israel, I don't, but because I thought it would be very, very bad for this country, which has got all kinds of problems. And I thought that we couldn't afford it, which we can't. And I thought that almost no American voter wants this. It was the goal of, another country to have us do this. So I was convinced that Trump would not lead us to war with Iran, and he did. And so I think it's just important to say, I'm sorry, I didn't expect this. He campaigned against it. He did it anyway. And to whatever extent I had a role in that, I apologize.
Is that sufficient to torment you, his position on the war in Iran? There are a myriad of issues to which one might cause a separation, not just ideologically, but politically, with the president of the United States. But the war with Iran for you is the pivotal turning moment.
I think it's that damaging to the U.S. on a couple of levels. One, the practical level, economically, I think this could be a catastrophe for the United States. I hope I'm wrong. I often am wrong, and this is one instance where I pray I'm wrong again, but I don't think I am. Americans have died, at least 13, probably more. Hundreds have been injured. No American should die for another country. But then there's the bigger question of who runs the United States. There was no group of voters who were demanding that we regime change Iran. This was done at the demand of a foreign country, a leader of a foreign country, Benjamin Netanyahu. That's why we did it. And the administration has said that. The Secretary of State said that. So that is very dispiriting to Americans. You vote for leaders because you think they're going to protect your interests, help you and your family, and instead they take orders from a foreign leader. By the way, it doesn't have to be the leader of Israel. It could be the leader of Belgium or Nigeria or China. It doesn't matter. An American leader should do what's right for his people. period. And when he doesn't, it's a crime. That's my opinion. And I think it's the opinion of most people in this country.
I respect that. We obviously have some questions about switching tracks, derailing, and what happens when we pull into a station with listeners around the country having lost thousands of jobs, wages, health benefits, supplemental food and nutrition programs for working Americans, especially in the Black community, where 300,000 women under the Department of Government Efficiency lost their jobs. For many of us, that too is a moment of torment, particularly for 300,000 women who cannot pay mortgages, are losing their homes, are struggling to keep their children in colleges. I'm honored that our guest in this particular hour is none other than Tucker Carlson, one of the nation's most influential and disruptive voices in American media. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, host of The Voice of Reason, weeknights at 7 p.m. here on KBLA Talk 1580, with a personal invitation for you to join me and Insight.me as we present The Healing Box, live at Inglewood's world-famous Miracle Theater, Saturday evening, May 23rd at 7 p.m. Look, I understand your attachment style has been running your life like a rogue algorithm, and nobody has had the courage to press pause. Until now, Dr. Pakoya McCall and yours truly are curating a night where clinicians, spiritualists, and an all-star panel of Black woman healers like Dr. Shalonda Sunshine Crawford, Dr. Jashana Johnson, and spiritualist Precious McGill will join some amazing spoken word artists and the legendary comedian Louis Dix to diagnose, disrupt, and heal your relational wreckage in real time. Listen, bring your trauma. As a matter of fact, bring your baby mama. No, bring your testimony. And if you're still texting your ex at 2 a.m., baby, you're not just invited, you're the target demo. Tickets are moving fast, so grab yours at themiracleinglewood.com before your dating history gets flagged as a pre-existing condition. That's themiracleinglewood.com. We'll see you there Saturday, May 23rd at 7 p.m.
Do you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS like Mark?
I've been doing home remodeling for 30 plus years, but the economy crashed. I wound up losing my home, losing my job, and on top of that, owing the IRS a ton of money. I owed the IRS $114,000. It really, truly was the worst part of my life.
Then Mark found tax relief advocates.
On news radio, I heard about TRA, and I thought, what's the worst that could happen? So I picked up the phone and I called them. When it was all said and done, TRA settled my $114,000 debt for $100, and I'm telling you, I was ecstatic. Could not believe it. Would recommend TRA to anyone.
If you owe 10 or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to the IRS, don't lose hope. Do what Mark did and call TRA for a consultation.
But TRA did. They gave me a second chance, and I'm forever grateful.
Visit TRA.com or call 800-575-8935. 800-575-8935. That's 800-575-8935.
The joint will be jumping. Ebony Repertory Theater, in association with Big Street Films, brings you one of the most beloved musicals of all time. Tony Award winner, Ain't Misbehavin'. The soulful, swinging celebration of the music of Fats Waller. From the rollicking to the romantic, this show is pure magic, full of the songs that defined an era and the voices that'll make you forget everything else for a night. Foot stomping, heart stirring, unforgettable. Don't miss Ain't Misbehavin' at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center, starring Lettucey, directed by Ren T. Brown. This is the night out you've been waiting for. Tickets are going fast, so don't wait. Grab yours now at ebonyrep.org or call the box office today at 323-964-9766. Ebony Repertory Theater, bringing the culture, keeping the legacy alive.
Ain't Misbehavin' runs May 21st through June 8th at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center. Get your tickets now.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
Tucker Carlson is the leading voice in American politics. After spending decades in cable news, he recently launched an online media company, Tucker Carlson Network, to provide an alternative to corporate media that is dedicated to telling the truth about things that matter clearly and without fear. Tucker, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thanks for having me.
Tucker, we've seen eminently qualified African Americans here at KBLA, Black military, corporate, and government employees lose their jobs. They're being removed from advancement consideration on a Supreme Court that is poised to strike down the very law that sought to rectify the history of racism, of slavery, and Jim Crow at the 250th anniversary of our country. That's the backdrop that we're on right here at KBLA. In your bio, you refer to a movement centered on truth about American ideals. You say you can join the movement centered around the core American ideals of freely discussing, debating, and searching for the truth. What do you see as the American ideal? And what is the truth you believe and seek in light of the disparities that I've addressed? Do they torment you?
Well, I mean, everything that you've mentioned, all of which is real, is yet another reason to be distressed about spending trillions of dollars to fight somebody else's war when the country that we live in is clearly dying. I mean, drive around, it's not the country you thought it was. And that's true for all ethnic groups. There's just a lot of poverty in this country and a lot of signs of decay. And I think every president gets to a place where he doesn't really want to be the president of the United States anymore. It's just too hard. How do you make Baltimore better? They don't know. So they want to be president of the world. And their attention goes to the rest of the globe and they ignore us. So that's the first thing to say. As to what I think America is a place where people are judged as individuals, not as groups. You don't have to take credit or blame for who your parents, your grandparents were. That's the basis of our justice system. You're punished for the crimes that you committed, not for the crimes people who looked like you or spoke your language or share your religion committed. People are treated as individuals. And so everything about our government should reflect that belief. You can never punish people for crimes they didn't commit. It's really that simple. Don't punish the innocent. And
Tucker, I identify.
We've not lived up to that.
I identify with the argument that the resources that we're spending on the war in Iran are tormenting. But I haven't heard a challenge to the $1.5 trillion budget that the President of the United States is proposing to justify future forever wars, including the war in Iran. And Martin Luther King Jr., for example, in his Beyond Vietnam speech, spoke specifically about his concern that programs that should be lifting people up here at home, farmers, working class Americans, regardless of their race, their sex, or class, should be able to turn to their government to address their domestic needs. And the argument, of course, by the President of the United States is he does not believe that many of these social programs are a federal responsibility, that they should be turned over to the states. States are obviously not in a position to cover the cost of these social programs without the support or the strength of national standards established by the federal government. So I'm wondering if the fact that people could be thrown off of these social programs torments you, and the $1.5 trillion budget that the president is proposing to spend or seeking from Congress in the next session of the Congress justifies the very forever wars that you say you are against.
Well, I think just to start with the Pentagon budget first, I think it's insane. By the way, where does that money go? It obviously doesn't go to a very effective military. I mean, we haven't opened the Straits of Hormuz using multi-billion-dollar aircraft carriers. So, what is the point of this? So no, 1.5 trillion or $1 trillion. I mean, the president first upped it to $1 trillion this year. I think suggests like pure craziness. What is the point? What is the point of that? By the way, you don't want an economy based on finance, real estate, and making weapons. That's not a real economy. It's a shameful economy. So yes, I could not agree more with you. As for your Martin Luther King reference, that's the Martin Luther King who got murdered. So notice that, King's public ministry was over 10 years long. He was celebrated in general. He was celebrated by Washington and New York until he stopped talking about race, at least at the center of his conversation, and began to talk about economics. It wasn't long after that he was assassinated in April of 1968. So I do think that's always the conversation that the people in charge don't want. They're happy to have conversations about race. They do not want to talk about where the money goes, where the money comes from, and then where it goes. And I think that's when he became a threat, honestly. And I will just say this. I noticed that lone gunmen always kill people, or very often kill people who challenge power. I don't know of many lone gunmen who decide to kill people who defend power. It's always when you start talking about populist economics that you get killed. Huey Long, same thing. Malcolm X, same thing. It's interesting.
Tucker, isn't there an amazing silence on the right for the proposal of $1.5 trillion, which nearly doubles the military budget away from... Yes. No one wants to be murdered. No one wants to be assassinated. But then the moral budget, a budget of, for, and by the people, that can guarantee for the American people, regardless of their race, sex, or class, including but not limited to the 300,000 African-American women who were summarily dismissed by the Trump administration. That raises for me the next question. Are you distancing yourself from Donald Trump, or are you distancing yourself from the Trump administration and his enablers?
Well, I'm not distancing myself from anybody or anything. I mean, I'm the aggrieved party here, I would say. I didn't reject Trump. I embraced his platform of no new foreign wars. Hey, let's pay attention to our own country and make it great again. I'm completely for that. I was for it then. I'm for it now. It's Trump who violated the terms of the contract. He ran on one thing, which I supported, and then did the opposite, which I don't support. So I don't think I've gone anywhere. I've stood in place. I was never. Why would you spend $1.5 trillion on a military that hasn't won a war since 1945? Maybe it's time to rethink the purpose of the military, the way that it deploys. This is not an attack at anyone who serves the military, but what is this money for?
Tucker, let me ask you this question, because the country will either be celebrating or commemorating the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. To make sure and try and arrive at some common ground, will you be celebrating or will you be commemorating?
Well, that's a very deep question and a smart question. I haven't thought about it. Really? I mean, look, I love the country. I'm from here. You and I were both born here. There were good Americans who weren't born here, but it's a little different if you're born here and your ancestors are from here, as ours, both of ours were. You feel like this is our country. And it was always a flawed place, but better than any other place, and a great place in a lot of ways. And so I want it to be that. That's my whole motivation. I turn 57 next month. I don't need to keep doing this. It doesn't help me really, but I do love the country and I want it to be decent. I don't want it to be chaotic and poor and angry at all. So I guess my celebration will be a mixture of, gratitude for everything I've received from America, which is everything, and hope that it improves from what it is now and stops its descent.
On July 4th, 1776, and I don't mean to be patronizing in any way, when in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them from the other, or to assume among them the powers of the earth which impelled them to the separation, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it. And when I reflect upon where we are 250 years later, this long train of abuses includes, for Jefferson in 1776, he has refused his assent to laws, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. He has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of their public records for the sole purposes of fatiguing them into compliance of his measures. He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing his assent to laws or establishing judiciary powers. He has made judges dependent upon his will alone for the tenure of their offices and the amount paid for their salaries. He has erected a multitude of new offices, including the Department of Government Efficiency, which he also dismantled, and sent hitherto swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out of their substance. He kept among us in times peace, standing armies without consent of the legislatures. He has effected to render the military independent of and superior to the civil power, for cutting off trade with all parts of the world, for imposing taxes on us without our consent, for depriving us in many cases of the benefits of trial by jury, for suspending our own legislatures, and last but not least, these two. He has excited domestic insurrections amongst us and has endeavored to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers the merciless, in this case, Indians, whose known rule of warfare is an undistinguished destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions. In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humblest of terms. Our repeated petitions have been unanswered only by repeated injury. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of a free people. It sounds eerily reminiscent on July 4th, 1776, that on July 4th, 2026, that tyranny and what the president has done, not just in the war in Iran, but this long train of abuses that compelled our architects, the founding fathers of the country, to separate themselves from the behavior of the king, that we, in effect, in 2026, find ourselves with a similar long train of abuses that might speak to the current moment. I'm wondering once again, Tucker, is this a celebration of July 4th, or is it a commemoration?
You make a powerful case for universalism, which is to say all tyrannies are the same on some level. All human sin is the same.
I'd like to think Jefferson made a powerful case.
I mean, to invoke that now, that's amazing. I've never heard that. Believe it, that's so ignorant I am.
Well, that's the part that's beyond all men are created equal. And of course, the amendment by Elizabeth Cady Stanton that all women are created equal. It was a friendly amendment to the document. But when we read the long train of abuses, it's almost as if this administration is following the abuses that Jefferson warned us about, that the architects themselves signed before the Constitution of the United States. And I'm sitting here saying to myself, is this a commemoration? Is this a celebration? Why are we not all celebrating a future of America that is inclusive, that does believe in diversity, equity, and inclusion? Why are we finding ourselves at dividing ourselves between red and blue? And Tucker, I raised this question because as one of the architects of Donald Trump's campaigns and his administration and his election, which you apologized for, these very abuses are what's at stake on July 4th, 2026. Tucker, we have about 2 minutes before we come forward. Please take your time.
Well, I would just say that, I'm hardly an architect of the administration. I'm just like a podcaster, but I certainly was a cheerleader for Donald Trump without question. But I would say what's at stake here is like order versus chaos. Like the framers understood, in fact, they lived the story, that if there's no nonviolent legal means for people to express their frustration and to be heard, that they tend to become revolutionary. And that's almost never a good thing. This is one of the only revolutions in all recorded history that made things better. Most don't make things better. Most actually make things much worse. And we can think of many examples over the past 100 years. So like, if you don't want that, if you don't want outbreaks of violence and disorder and chaos and craziness and revolution, you have to have a pressure relief valve for the population. They have to feel like the things they vote for, at least potentially, could happen. They can't just be ignored. And I feel like we are at a place where people are so frustrated that there's an economic downturn, which there's likely to be, they're going to be even more frustrated. We could see serious problems in this country of a kind we've never seen during our lifetime. So I'm really, really worried. I mean, my preference is strong preference, overwhelming preference. What I want is to return to a system that kind of works imperfectly, because they're all imperfect, but that kind of works. People vote for something and they get it. We don't want any more wars. How about you, I don't know, improve the country? And that would happen. But after 50 years of being ignored, people are getting hot-headed, and it's scary.
Tormented and Worried. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. My very special guest is Tucker Carlson. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. The Senate early today adopted a plan to reopen the Department of Homeland Security. Senator John Cornyn says Republicans beat back a series of Democratic proposals during the process.
It's absurd that they have taken this approach to voice their opposition to President Trump.
The vote is part of a budget reconciliation, which allows the bill to move forward without needing a supermajority. Top Los Angeles leaders met with President Trump on Wednesday to talk about wildfire recovery. Black Mayor Karen Bass called the meeting very positive. In recent weeks, LA leaders and Trump have also found common ground in criticizing insurance companies over wildfire coverage. And prosecutors say a significant amount of child pornography was found on a phone belonging to Black singer David, whose real name is David Anthony Burke. Burke is charged with first-degree murder in the death of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez and is also accused of having a sexual relationship with her. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA, a national nonprofit, offers more than 1,000 free online resources for youth and high school sports coaches, parents, students, and administrators. Visit PCADevZone.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The NFL Draft kicks off today in Pittsburgh. The 7 rounds will last 3 days. Round 1 begins today at 5 p.m. local time. The Rams have the 13th pick in the first round. The Chargers have number 22. The number 1 overall pick belongs to the Las Vegas Raiders. They're expected to take Indiana University quarterback and Heisman Trophy winner Fernando Mendoza. Live coverage of the draft will be on ESPN, ABC, and the NFL Network. The Dodgers are in a slump. They're 1-4 in their last 5 games. They were shut out 3-0 Wednesday night at San Francisco. In the Dodgers' last 2 games, they have a combined 7 hits and have left 15 runners on base. Dodger fans should not feel too concerned. It's early. At 16-8, the Dodgers have the second best record in Major League Baseball behind the 17-8 Atlanta Braves. The Dodgers wrap up their 7-game road trip today against the Giants. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Imagine every pregnant person in LA County having the support they deserve. A doula on every block. Doulas provide emotional, physical, and informational support during pregnancy, through labor, and beyond. Medi-Cal now covers doula care. That means you can get the support you need or train to support families in your community. The LA County Medi-Cal Doula Hub is here to help. Learn more and get started today at ladoulahub.com.
Getting around LA doesn't have to cost a lot. Metro has fares that fit every budget. 20 free rides for qualified riders through the Life Fare program. Free passes for students with GoPass and affordable options for everyone in between. Wherever you're going, Metro's got you covered. Visit metro.net/fare programs.
It's game day. Are your moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keeping you from the action? Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, could help you get back to the game. Skyrizi is proven to help people feel significant symptom relief, achieve remission, and visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. Skyrizi is a prescription injection medicine for adults. Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's or ulcerative colitis.
Control is everything to me.
Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 prescribed biologic in Crohn's and ulcerative colitis combined. Learn more at skyrizi.com or 1-866-SKYRIZI.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580, the Tucker Carlson Show, and its creator, Tucker Carlson, who is our guest today, debuted as the #1 new show on Apple Podcast in 2024 in the U.S. that year. In the last year, Tucker has shattered viewership records and reshaped the media landscape by bringing his interviews and reporting online. He recently interviewed President Donald Trump, President Vladimir Putin, Elon Musk, and many more of the biggest names in news and politics around the world. Tucker, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thanks for having me.
Tucker, I'm very honored that you're here. Tucker, let me ask you a more difficult question.
Okay.
I'm wondering what prompted you to get on the Trump and MAGA train in the first place. Was it the Obama presidency? The idea that a black man was the leader of the free world and his family was living in the White House, as it was for many people? Did it grow in scope with Kamala Harris, vice presidency, and possibility of her presidency? If so, why? If something else, what?
Well, I disliked Obama and Kamala Harris for exactly opposite reasons. I thought Obama was very smart, and I dealt with him. In fact, you're the one who introduced me to him, I can say. And I thought from the first moment I met him until now, I thought this guy's really smart. Kamala Harris, I thought, was kind of funny, but just unqualified. My problem really was with Biden, not with her. But none of that, and certainly nobody's race. Not only did I not care that Obama was black, I never met anyone who ever in my life was like, I can't believe there's a black guy or half black guy, because his mom was white. So he was every bit as much white as he was black. Sorry. I can't believe he's in the White House. I mean, maybe there are a lot of people who thought that. I never met one. I was mad about immigration, and I'm still mad about immigration. And I'm not sure how that helps Americans at all. No one's ever made that case to me. Rationally, they just start screaming about how you're a racist or whatever. Well, I'm not a racist at all. And in fact, I'm against racism on religious grounds. But so it has nothing to do with race. If you import a ton of people into your country who are willing to work for less, you put Americans out of work. And by the way, no one has suffered more because of immigration than African Americans, as I know you know. So you're not allowed to say that, but it's just a fact. And, I grew up, I was a kid in Los Angeles when, a lot of the center of the city was black, and now it's not. And you're not allowed to say that, but I remember very well because I live there, and a lot has changed. And by the way, I think there are upsides from immigration. I don't think it's all bad. I know a million immigrants I really like. My business partner's an immigrant. I mean, there are a lot of wonderful immigrants. So it's not an attack on immigrants to say, how is this good for the people who live here? And it's not good overall. It's not good. And Trump was the only person who said that. So I was like, let's go, because that's right. You need a border. And I think that now that's obvious, but back in 2015, when Trump was like, we should have a border, people are like, oh, shut up, racist. And I didn't think that was racist. I think that's totally reasonable. Every country has a border. Lots of countries have border walls. We paid for the border wall in Israel, and no one thought that was controversial. So why not have one here? But he never built the wall. So we have more immigration than we've ever had. So I guess that didn't work.
Tucker, thank you very much, by the way, for acknowledging my having introduced you to Barack Obama. I introduced Barack Obama to a lot of people.
I'll never forget it as long as I live. I remember the day.
Sometime
I'll never forget
it. But let me go back to this long train of abuses for just a moment, because you mentioned immigration. The architects of our republic, Jefferson writes, he has endeavored to prevent the population of these states, for that purpose obstructing the laws for naturalization of foreigners, refusing to pass others to encourage their migrations hither, and raising the conditions of new appropriations of lands. The founding fathers did not object to laws of naturalization of foreigners, provided obviously that they are a legal process that exists. But the process that we are discussing is outside, from my perspective, of the Declaration of Independence, which, as you know, was established as a foundational principle before the Constitution was written in September of 1787. We're discussing July 4th of 1776. And yet I'm hearing this conversation as if this is not a founding principle of the nation on the question of the naturalization of foreigners. And by that process, it's very difficult on July 4th, 1776, to even make the argument that there was a southern border when the founding fathers put this principle in the Declaration of Independence. Right. Again, are all Americans going to be celebrating the Declaration of Independence on July 4th? Or are they going to commemorating it and add it to the history books as a document that we should no longer respect, and therefore whatever the politics of the current hour dictate are the politics that we should follow?
Well, we didn't have electricity or flush toilets in 1776 either. Like, there's a context for every document, and
you probably didn't have toilet paper either. But that's not all.
No, I don't think so. I think it was hay. But right, the founders were very interested in populating the country, which they did. Fast forward 250 years, about 1 out of every 4 Americans is here illegally. In fact, 1 out of every 4 Americans is not an American, but a foreign national living here illegally. So clearly, this current system is out of control, and the country's getting crowded and poorer. I'm not blaming immigrants for that. I never have blamed immigrants for that. I would move here too illegally if I was living in a poorer country. I blame our leaders for that, and they're paid to allow this. That's shameful. It has not helped Los Angeles, a city I know very well and love. I know you're in LA, I think, right now. LA is a lot poorer than it was when I was a kid, when I lived there in 1975, 51 years ago. It was a much nicer city than it is now. And that's not a racial attack. In fact, I think we had a black mayor in 1975, I think, Tom Bradley. So I would say African Americans in Los Angeles, since I know I'm on a black radio station, had a lot more power then than they do now, a lot more. So if you want to cast it in racial terms, but I generally don't. I just think it's not good for anybody at all. And things are clearly out of control. If 1/4 of your entire population is here illegally, then the law doesn't mean anything. And if that law doesn't mean anything, why am I paying my taxes? Do you know what I mean? Like, law has to mean something.
I mean, I hear what
law.
you mean, but when I hear the president looking for Venezuelans, when I hear the president talking about deporting Somalis, when I hear the president of the United States talking about men and women and families that come across the border, when I hear the president talk about and sit in the Supreme Court of the United States, listen to an argument over birthright citizenship, which is unprecedented for the president of the United States to be involved in that branch of the government, as if to offer some kind of intimidating force from the gallery itself, it does strike the heart of African Americans and Hispanics and Venezuelans and Mexicans and others who are here as part of a process that may be broken, but it does not make them illegal people. There's no such thing as an illegal person. There's just an illegal process that we have, a process that is subject to change, that may be outdated, that needs to be updated, but it certainly doesn't warrant the present behavior of the president of the United States and what he has unleashed, by the way, another usurpation, American forces in the form of ICE onto the territories and in the midst of our cities, and therefore onto the people without the consent of the legislatures.
Well, I mean, your point about the legislatures, you served in the federal legislature, obviously, is a fair point. I mean, not just in this country, but in every Western countries, the legislatures are dying. So all power is vesting in the executive, and that means democracy itself is going away. I'm against that. I don't seem to be able to control historic events, so there's nothing I can do about it, but I'm certainly noticing it. But I would say it's not a question of, continuing to do what Trump has done or doing what Biden did. There's got to be some reasonable way for the United States to have laws that mean something, to have borders that are real, but above all, to serve the population who put the government there and pay for everything, which is American citizens. And if your main policies, whether your immigration policy or foreign policy, don't have any reference point at all in the well-being of Americans, then your government is illegitimate and you're begging for revolution at that point, because you're hurting the people you exist to serve. And that's exactly what our immigration policy does. And it's exactly what our foreign policy does. And there's a lot of effort to get people to stop saying that, but it's true. It's absolutely true. And so I just hope whoever's president next, of whatever party or no party at all, makes decisions on the basis of one question: is this good for our people, Americans? That should be the first question they ask, and they don't, as you know.
Tucker, we have to pause at this moment for a break. When I come forward, I want you to give some thought to this question. I'd like to know if Tucker Carlson is running for president of the United States. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward, right here on KBLA.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
You better work. She's rooted in culture and rising in power. Los Angeles City Council member Karen D. Price Jr. invites you to the District 9 Women's Leadership Summit, a powerful gathering celebrating the women who shape our communities. Join us Sunday, May 3rd from 1 to 6 p.m. Registration is open now, but space is limited. District 9 residents receive special priority. This event is free. Call 323-846-2651 to reserve your spot. That's 323-846-2651. Be rooted, be powerful, be there.
Pump up the volume. Business moves fast. Orders roll in, deadlines close in. When you ship with USPS Ground Advantage, you can keep up with confidence. Every package stays in our secure network from dock to door. And with nationwide reach, dependable tracking, and upfront affordable pricing, you get built-in peace of mind. You run the business. We run the routes. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to learn more.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
ZipRecruiter. Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. These are hard times for housing in America. Too many in our community face barriers to safe housing, behavioral health care, and affirming spaces for healing, particularly those impacted by poverty and stigma or incarceration. Rooted in South LA, Ahmad supports impacted communities through housing, wellness, and leadership development. Ahmad provides culturally responsive, peer-led support from transitional housing and mental health services to leadership development and youth empowerment. They offer safe, affirming houses for youth, transgender women, and formerly incarcerated individuals. Therapy and peer support with a focus on healing trauma in Black communities. HIV prevention and care, free testing, education, and wraparound services for whole person wellness. Standing in the gap with health, housing, and hope. Reach out to Ahmad Institute at 323-569-1610. That's 323-569-1610. Or visit amaad.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
What if your rooftop could earn you money every year? With LADWP's Solar Rooftops program, you can get solar panels installed and maintained on your home at no cost and earn up to $900 a year. That's up to $18,000 over 20 years. There are no upfront costs, no credit checks, and no annual fees. Plus, you'll help power Los Angeles with clean local solar energy and reduce reliance on fossil fuels. Make your rooftop work for you. Apply today at ladwp.com/solarrooftops.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Folly, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Today we are in our final segment with Tucker Carlson, the former host of Fox News Channel's flagship primetime cable news program, Tucker Carlson Tonight. It was the highest rated program in cable news history. Prior to that, he hosted other programs on Fox News, MSNBC, and CNN. He is also the author of 2 recent New York Times bestsellers, Ship of Fools and The Long Slide. Tucker, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thanks for having me.
Tucker, I'm honored that you're here. Tucker, I should share with you, I do have a couple more questions, no sneaky questions, just obvious questions, I think. But do say, and I don't see any reason to change my format, the final 3 minutes of our program are always for our guest to offer a word of hope. So while you contemplate that, I have some questions in the mix. Just before the break, I asked the question whether or not you were running for president of the United States, and just before that, you said that democracy is on the decline. That democracy is retreating. I may not have the quote correct, around the world. And I'm thinking in this moment that 192 constitutions around the world emulated or came into existence after the U.S. Constitution. And if the United States has any role in the world, minimally, it is the sustenance of the idea that democratic reforms and democratic values should be strengthened, and that America should be identifying with those 192 nations to strengthen democracy and not retreating from that. What say you, Tucker?
I couldn't agree more. I don't think we should topple other governments so they become democratic. That doesn't work. But I think that we should always be a beacon by our example to the rest of the world of self-government. Like, people can rule themselves. And the problem, of course, is that power has never been this concentrated in the history of the world. Economic power is now concentrated among a small group of people that in any time in human history. And so, of course, concentrated economic power is the enemy of democracy, because you can't make your own decisions when you're up against that much power. And so, these are trends that I'm totally opposed to, but don't seem to have any control over at all. I'm not endorsing it. I'm just noticing it.
Tucker, are you running for president?
No way, no how. I mean, if
No way,
God
no
told
how.
me to, of course I would do anything. But no, I mean, I'm not a politician. I don't think I'd be very good at it. I certainly don't want it at all, but I do want somebody from some party to represent the country. I mean, and I don't think, look, I think we're entering a pretty tough period economically. I don't think there's I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think that I am. I think there's going to be a recession at the very least in the United States. And I think that things will get, less stable once that happens. But I don't think that the country is irretrievably broken. Like, there's so much great stuff in America. First of all, our resources, are physical and human, are the best still. There's just a lot about America that's great. And it doesn't need to be destroyed. But I mean, clearly we're going to go through a period where we need to reassess our priorities. And I hope, here's my word of hope, that I hope that at the end of all of this drama, our leaders recommit to their own people, to helping Americans. And we can debate about the best way to do that. Is it federal programs or state programs? I mean, I don't know. Those are reasonable debates. I'm not sure I always know the answer. I don't always know the answer. But I know that the core question has to be, how do we help Americans? Not, what do we do about Hamas? Who cares? I don't care at all about Hezbollah or Hamas or Iran and no amount of yelling at me is going to make me care, because I just don't care about Hamas more than I care about Los Angeles, for example. I really care about Los Angeles. It's an amazing city. I was a kid there. Like, it's one of the greatest things that we have is LA. And to watch it become crummier and crummier kills me. And let's try and make LA better. Let's just start there before we start blowing up other governments.
But can't we do both? Can't we care about Hamas, Hezbollah, and the anxiety associated with the traditions of terror that they represent, and take care of Los Angeles, and take care of Chicago, and take care of Houston and New York and Washington, D.C.? Can't we do both?
Apparently we can't. We can't afford to, for one thing, just as a math question. But you can't serve two masters is the truth. This is a biblical principle, famously, but it's also just true in our daily lives. Your attention's going to be focused on one thing above all, and that thing has to be Americans. You can't love your neighbor's kids as much as you love your own kids and expect all of them to thrive. That's not going to happen. And last thing I'll say is, I never felt any anxiety at all about Hamas or Hezbollah. Not one day in my entire life did I wake up thinking, boy, I'm worried about Hamas or Hezbollah. I'm sorry, maybe I'm just particularly insensitive, but that's never been a concern of mine, ever.
Oh, I'm worried about it. I'm worried about 19 hijackers flying a plane into the World Trade Center. I'm worried about events that we don't know take place in our country that we are protected from by a functioning FBI and a functioning national security apparatus.
I agree with that.
Into the security of the American people. And just because we don't know about them doesn't mean that it's not happening and these aren't real threats. And so I recognize that, but I do think we can do both. I don't think that we need to be spending billions of dollars per day in a war that the American people have not decided on. In fact, they're deeply divided over. But I think in some ways, Tucker, while you've made it clear that your break with Donald Trump is on the question of the war, I just have to get this one last question in for clarity. It does not mean that you're breaking with the administration, correct?
Well, I don't know that there is much of an administration outside of Donald Trump. I mean, he seems to control this administration more than any president's ever controlled an administration. And I didn't break with Trump. He violated the terms of the contract. He did it. I didn't. So it's not like I got mad at Trump one morning. You know what I mean? It was like he did something he said he wouldn't do.
Then Trump broke with you.
Yeah, well, I think he broke with the country because it was, he got tens of millions of votes. And I think even people who didn't vote for Trump agreed with him when he said, I'm not going to start more pointless foreign wars. There's no support for that. I mean, outside DC, there is no support. I don't think the country's divided over this war. I think everyone wants America to do as well as we can do. I certainly feel that way. I'm not for Iran, never will be, never been there. I don't care about Iran. I'm on our side always, but I don't think many people wanted this. I mean, I've literally never met anyone who wanted this who doesn't live in DC.
Tucker, I have so many more questions and so little time. I hope you'll come back on my show as a guest.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, fantastic. I look forward to that. And you're welcome on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. There's so much more that we want to explore. I'd like to talk about the Christian right. I'd like to talk about what they're doing. I'd like to talk about the president posting himself at Easter and the unkind things he said in a tweet during Easter. There's so much more that we can talk about, and I'm looking forward to it. Tucker, thank you for being on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thanks a million, Congressman. I appreciate it.
Welcome. You're welcome anytime. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. The Senate early today adopted a plan to reopen the Department of Homeland Security. Senator John Cornyn says Republicans beat back a series of Democratic proposals during the process.
It's absurd that they have taken this approach to voice their opposition to President Trump.
The vote is part of a budget reconciliation, which allows the bill to move forward without needing a supermajority. Top Los Angeles leaders met with President Trump on Wednesday to talk about wildfire recovery. Black Mayor Karen Bass called the meeting very positive. In recent weeks, LA leaders and Trump have also found common ground in criticizing insurance companies over wildfire coverage. And prosecutors say a significant amount of child pornography was found on a phone belonging to Black singer David, whose real name is David Anthony Burke. Burke is charged with first-degree murder in the death of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez and is also accused of having a sexual relationship with her. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA, a national nonprofit, offers more than 1,000 free online resources for youth and high school sports coaches, parents, students, and administrators. Visit PCADevZone.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The NFL Draft kicks off today in Pittsburgh. The 7 rounds will last 3 days. Round 1 begins today at 5 p.m. local time. The Rams have the 13th pick in the first round. The Chargers have number 22. The number 1 overall pick belongs to the Las Vegas Raiders. They're expected to take Indiana University quarterback and Heisman Trophy winner Fernando Mendoza. Live coverage of the draft will be on ESPN, ABC, and the NFL Network. The Dodgers are in a slump. They're 1-4 in their last 5 games. They were shut out 3-0 Wednesday night at San Francisco. In the Dodgers' last 2 games, they have a combined 7 hits and have left 15 runners on base. Dodger fans should not feel too concerned. It's early. At 16-8, the Dodgers have the second best record in Major League Baseball behind the 17-8 Atlanta Braves. The Dodgers wrap up their 7-game road trip today against the Giants. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
There is no denying that we've always been the conscience of this country. KBLA Talk 1580 is progressive talk radio built for our community, by our community, and with hosts who look like you, live near you, and care about what you care about. 50,000 watts of truth right here in Southern California. KBLA Talk 1580. Listen live on your AM radio dial at 1580 or stream us live on our KBLA1580.com website or on our free KBLA 1580 app.
Unapologetically progressive.
Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 oh. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA, Talk 1580, download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson. Welcome to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. We just left the National House, now heading to the World House with Dr. Johnny Mack. Johnny Mack is a social entrepreneur, scholar, practitioner with expertise in the areas of peace, conflict, and social change movements. He's traveled extensively throughout the Americas, Africa, Asia, Europe, the Middle East, working in the fields of peace, development, conflict, nonviolent social change. Dr. Mack's seminal work, After Confrontation, Then What? Dr. Mack's research includes extensive study of Martin Luther King Jr.'s logic of nonviolence and the U.S. Civil Rights Movement. He explicates Dr. King's logic of nonviolence using Dr. King's call to restructure the social edifice and particularly its triple evils of poverty, racism, militarism, with a revolution of values that is effected through peaceable power. Dr. Mack, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Just delighted to be here, Jesse. Thank you so much.
Johnny, I'm so grateful that you are allowing us to bring Atiba. Atiba is the former Deputy Executive Director of the National Black Caucus of State Legislators. He's a strategic alliance consultant and president of Party Politics US. He's worked on TV as a political contributor for BNC News, In the Heat, In the Know with Mo, The Leslie Marshall Show, iHeartRadio, Government Exec, 96.3 WHUR, and One America News Network. He was most recently a guest host on Rising, an American daily news and opinion web series produced by Washington, D.C. political newspaper The Hill. Atiba, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Jesse, it's good to be here with you and Dr. Mack.
We are in the World House with Johnny Mack, our regular contributor, and normally at the top of the hour, Atiba joins me in conversation on his own show, the Atiba Show, Conversations with Atiba. And I'm grateful that Dr. Mack is allowing us to bring our shows together to analyze and give a postlude, if you will, to what we just heard in our conversation with none other than Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson is one of the architects of Donald Trump's 2024 campaign. He's also, in large measure, one of the great podcasters and influencers on the globe on this day and in this day and during this period. Recently, he announced a separation with President Donald Trump over the question of the war in Iran. I tried my best to press him on other issues that might have forced a separation that are of concern to our community. And I'd like to get both of your takes. Let me start, if you don't mind, with Johnny Mack. Johnny, your thoughts on our interview with Tucker Carlson.
Well, Jesse, and by the way, Atiba, good to have you with us. I could perhaps use the rest of the hour with these thoughts. Quite an interview, quite a discussion. And maybe I start with you introduced Tucker as one of the architects of the Trump phenomena and his presidency. And I noted that he said, well, I'm just a podcaster.
He's just being humble, right?
Just a humble podcaster. In other words, I didn't have anything to do with it.
And don't forget
how that happened.
Tucker said he's forming an organization based on truth. Well, let's start with Tucker. You are a big pillar in this. You're a big tree in this forest, brother.
But I found his comments enlightening in so many different ways. A perspective of one who is right and arguably far right in terms of the political spectrum. To hear his take on where things are with the war, but in a broader context, where things are with MAGA. Although he didn't approach the conversation directly, I gleaned from that conversation, and perhaps you want to get into that throughout the hour, much of what, or some of what his thinking is on MAGA and the MAGA movement.
I want to ask the same question of Atiba, but knowing that he won't have the opportunity to completely respond before we come forward in our traditional break here at KBLA Talk 1580. But when we do come forward, Atiba, I'd like your take on the interview, and then let's mix it up with Johnny, and let's mix it up together and find out what we heard. Did we hear the same things? This question of trust and believability. I found it fascinating very quickly that it seems to be the war that broke the camel's back for Tucker Carlson. But the other issues that I raised, I don't think were sufficient enough. Those which trouble us are not necessarily the issues that trouble or torment or have, if I can quote Tucker Carlson, have him worried at this hour. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. We are having a recap with Dr. Johnny Mack and Atiba. More with Atiba and Dr. Mack when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, host of The Voice of Reason, weeknights at 7 p.m. here on KBLA Talk 1580, with a personal invitation for you to join me and Insight.me as we present The Healing Box, live at Inglewood's world-famous Miracle Theater, Saturday evening, May 23rd at 7 p.m. Look, I understand your attachment style has been running your life like a rogue algorithm, and nobody has had the courage to press pause. Until now, Dr. Pakoya McCall and yours truly are curating a night where clinicians, spiritualists, and an all-star panel of Black woman healers like Dr. Shalonda Sunshine Crawford, Dr. Deshauna Johnson, and spiritualist Precious McGill will join some amazing spoken word artists and the legendary comedian Louis Dix to diagnose, disrupt, and heal your relational wreckage in real time. Listen, bring your trauma. As a matter of fact, bring your baby mama. No, bring your testimony. And if you're still texting your ex at 2 a.m., baby, you're not just invited, you're the target demo. Tickets are moving fast, so grab yours at themiracleinglewood.com before your dating history gets flagged as a pre-existing condition. That's themiracleinglewood.com. We'll see you there Saturday, May 23rd at 7 p.m.
Do you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS like Mark?
I've been doing home remodeling for 30 plus years, but the economy crashed. I wound up losing my home, losing my job, and on top of that, owing the IRS a ton of money. I owed the IRS $114,000. It really, truly was the worst part of my life.
Then Mark found tax relief advocates.
On news radio, I heard about TRA, and I thought, what's the worst that could happen? So I picked up the phone and I called them. When it was all said and done, TRA settled my $114,000 debt for $100, and I'm telling you, I was ecstatic. Could not believe it. Would recommend TRA to anyone.
If you owe 10 or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to the IRS, don't lose hope. Do what Mark did and call TRA for a consultation.
But TRA did. They gave me a second chance, and I'm forever grateful.
Visit TRA.com or call 800-575-8935. 800-575-8935. That's 800-575-8935.
The joint will be jumping. Ebony Repertory Theater, in association with Big Street Films, brings you one of the most beloved musicals of all time. Tony Award winner, Ain't Misbehavin'. The soulful, swinging celebration of the music of Fats Waller. From the rollicking to the romantic, this show is pure magic, full of the songs that defined an era and the voices that'll make you forget everything else for a night. Foot-stomping, heart-stirring, unforgettable. Don't miss Ain't Misbehavin' at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center, starring Lettucey, directed by Ren T. Brown. This is the night out you've been waiting for. Tickets are going fast, so don't wait. Grab yours now at ebonyrep.org or call the box office today at 323-964-9766. Ebony Repertory Theater, bringing the culture, keeping the legacy alive.
Ain't Misbehavin' runs May 21st through June 8th at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center. Get your tickets now.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. On Thursdays, regularly in this hour, is Johnny Mack. We talk about the World House and Dr. King's vision of confronting triple evils of poverty, racism, and militarism. On this unique and special occasion, Atiba, who we have a conversation with at the top of the show, the top of the hour, come down because of our special guest, Tucker Carlson. Gentlemen, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Great to be here.
Atiba, let me allow you the opportunity to respond to what you heard in the interview.
Well, I guess that would mainly me trying to figure out how to go through my notes real quick.
This is our long segment, so take your time.
You know, he started off expressing remorse for backing the president. And it made me laugh because, you know, Jesse, you've talked a lot the last few months about redemption. And I'm looking for where he is talking about his own redemption. Like the fact that you back a person to be president of the United States who has lied at every opportunity. Since 2016, I have been saying to people that whatever this man says, believe the opposite. And so when I'm looking at him saying that his I guess the straw that broke the camel's back was going into Iran, I have to ask, so killing American citizens, using ICE to killing American citizens wasn't something that broke the camel's back. The forceful removal and inhumane treatment of people, of human beings, is not what did not break the camel's back. The affordability issues that are going on in the country did not break the camel's back. But going into a war in Iran that we have no clear objective, that we have no end in sight, even though the president continues to say that there is an end in sight, it makes me wonder and question that this man who has said that he was an architect of this president's campaign,
I actually said that.
Well, did you say that he was an architect of that? Then it begs the question that within the scope and the medium of being in the media realm, do you call it journalism? I know you call it podcast, but I think that it's more so to me the way that it has become this huge thing. And I applaud him for the fact that he is number one in podcasts and has been able to build this audience. But I believe that it's been done in terms of by touching on people's emotions, which is more so an entertainment thing as opposed to an informing thing. And I'll just end it with this, that hate is a powerful uniter and a great divider. And that's what I see that's happened in this country, that has been people on both sides have been able to build an audience. And there's a lot of hate and not enough of what we talk about when we think about Dr. King, not enough of love.
Interesting. Johnny, you want to respond to that?
Well, obviously on the last point, contrasting hate and love, and how that manifests itself in the current administration, and Dr. Carlson's response to it is important here. But of course, when you think about hate and love, focusing particularly on love here in this context for me is a principle, right? It's how we care for each other. It's how we create the kind of nation, the kind of society that ensures that everyone has the opportunity to express their liberty, and realize their full potential. That's fundamentally, for me, in the context of the political, even in the context of the economic and civic, that's what real love is. It's caring for each other, ensuring that we can express, as Tucker Carlson argued, our individualism. But individualism should never supersede our personhood or personalism. So, defining what love really means in the political sense, in leading a nation and reaching out to the world is really a fundamental principle and a set of values. And I think that, we miss that in these political debates, and perhaps somewhat in the conversation that you just had with Tucker Carlson.
Let me just add to that, I think Tucker Carlson is the William Buckley, the Mike Wallace of this generation. Tucker Carlson is a superior intellect. And I've got to imagine that if he's in the room with MAGA and he's in the room with the President of the United States, that while he may be humble, he's looking Steve Miller, he's looking Russell Vought, he's looking these men, these women in the face with a keen insight on direction. The distinction I want to make here is, however, and that's maybe a theological conversation with Tucker on the question of spirit, is the difference between sympathy and empathy. So I can sympathize with the gerrymandering issue for political advantage. Democrats and Republicans both find themselves in that space. But they cannot empathize with the idea that districts are drawn in many of these jurisdictions to overcome the legacy of a segregated Congress and segregated state legislatures, and therefore they take into account that for those who've historically been discriminated against, the only way to desegregate the legislatures themselves are to draw lines in a particular way that reflect the segregated communities that Blacks and Hispanics and others were forced to live in. And they don't, in this great battle over control, Democrat or Republican, they don't empathize with our struggle. They can't even see us. They can't even see us. It's not even part of the calculation. Calculation is we win, they lose. You watch what happened in Virginia. The people spoke, a new map in Virginia. The next day, the court intervenes and says, I don't care what the people says, we're putting Virginia on pause. There is no analysis that says, hey, but you guys got away with it in Texas when it was about creating red seats, but you can't do it in Virginia. Just one day after the people actually engaged the process and voted for new maps. The people, democracy. The people voted for new maps in Virginia in ways that the people of Texas did not even vote for new maps, but they got new maps from the legislature, and it wasn't a referendum in their state. Now, if that is an academic conversation and not an empathetic conversation, that democracy is not the shape of a congressional district, it is the shape of the voice that comes to the floor of a legislature and makes the case one way or the other for the dispossessed, the damned, the disinherited, the trailer park dweller, the ghetto liver, the barrio resident, that we have voices that have nothing to do with downtown Chicago, Upper Manhattan, or Beverly Hills, California. It simply requires an understanding of the history and the respect for our histories that have nothing to do with the gamesmanship. And so, I mean, I respect Tucker's mind. I think that if you're going to call a spade, right? It's not just Donald Trump has misled us into war, Atiba. He's also led us into the devolution of the federal government. He's also led us into our losing faith in the Constitution of the United States. And one of the questions I wish, and I hope Tucker's listening, that I do want to ask when he desires to come back, What are we going to do to restore the people's faith in the Constitution? And why would we ever put their faith in the Constitution on the chopping block in the first place? I mean, why would we shatter people's faith in that which has essentially worked for better or for worse, all the trials and tribulations and what the timeline of history reveals, including our own? Why would we put anyone's faith in the Constitution that has guided us and jeopardize it, Atiba?
But I think part of it too, and you know, again, and I said what I said in the first part, but I still applaud him for taking the steps, even in terms of coming here and having a conversation with you today, Jesse, because this is what we need.
Amen.
We need to be able to talk across these different perspectives, you know. But I think, for me personally, I don't want to ask the question anymore, why don't you see me? I want to do what I need to do to make you see me so that you cannot ignore me. And so, you know, I think we're taking so much of you're talking about gamesmanship. What happened in Virginia may be great, but we're still, of course, waiting to see what is their Supreme Court going to do and say about this. And yes, politics is a game. That is people have to look at it. It is a game. And I've said this before, that we have to look at how we vote as a negotiation. And so overall, we keep asking for something that seems as if, okay, this is supposed to make sense. It's not going to make sense until we recognize that in terms of the voting, in terms of educating ourselves, in terms of who to vote for, why to vote, as well as how are we taking other people who look like us, who think like us, who are like us, to go and vote. Because this country is mired in an idea that we are supposed to have faith in the Constitution as opposed to having faith first in God. So, you know, in the money, it says, in God we trust. We got to put our faith back in God. I think that is part of the reason that America is so morally corrupted and so morally devastated right now. The second part of this is that Americans, in terms of us, have to look at how we redefining what is an American, because we're not looking at first at our human aspect. We keep looking more at our ethnic, at our religious, at our political. We have to go back to being human and to identifying with each other to be human, because if we look at each other from our human makeup, we won't be racist. We won't be feminist. We won't be, when I say feminist, we won't be misogynist. We got to go back to the core of our original self. And we are so far removed from that because we're looking at things and worshiping things. We're looking at myths. We're not looking at the real ideal in terms of what it is to be a human being anymore. So therefore, we're not treating each other as human beings.
Johnny, I heard a little bit of an isolationist point of view. You're trying to build a world house by explicating the philosophy of Martin Luther King Jr. And I say this respectfully, of Tucker's point of view. He seems to be somewhat turning his back on the world. And by turning his back on the world, he says that America must come first, that we must make America great again. But we also have to recognize that since July 4th, 1776, the Declaration of Independence, which inspired the entire planet and the idea of freedom, even in Tiananmen Square, that on September 17th, 1787, when the Constitution itself was written, that 192, and it may be 193 now, countries around the world adopted the American ideals and set up their own constitutions. And the United States historically has played some role, Atiba, in strengthening those democracies. Certainly, we've argued that Vietnam should be a democracy and not communist. We've argued that Cuba should be a democracy. We've argued for democracy in the Middle East. We support, allegedly, the only democracy in the Middle East, which is Israel. And we have fought for democracies in Europe. Johnny, we have about a minute before we come forward. I think I heard Tucker intimate, maybe slightly, and maybe I'm overstating it. I thought he said that democracy around the world is on the decline, but I did hear from Tucker Carlson the need to strengthen it. And I know we only have a few seconds, and when we come forward, Johnny, we will come back to your full answer. Johnny, did we hear the same thing?
Well, I think we heard much of the same thing. I think he was against it, though, however. He was concerned about the decline. And it's probably where I would have chimed in anyway, Jesse, talking about democracy is key here. Do we have enough time to continue, or do we come back on the other side?
Let me come back on the other side. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to The World House with Johnny Mack. Our very special guest in this hour is our regular contributor, Atiba. More with Jesse Jackson Jr. and Johnny Mack when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Black Mayor Brandon Johnson is marking the completion of Chicago's newest library solar project.
The new solar panels will help to offset a projected 43% of this building's total electricity consumption.
He says the new installation in Little Village is the city's third completed library solar site, joining projects at the Humboldt Park and South Chicago branches. Black House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries faced some tough questions from kid reporters on Capitol Hill Thursday during Take Your Child to Work Day. Along with lighter questions, Jeffries was asked why voters view Democrats poorly and whether he would have voted to expel former Congresswoman Sheila Sherfless McCormick, who is Black, if she had not resigned. And police are at the Mall of Louisiana in Baton Rouge after reports of a shooting. Authorities say multiple people were injured, including 2 in critical condition, and officers are searching for 2 suspects. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA, a national nonprofit, offers more than 1,000 free online resources for youth and high school sports coaches, parents, students, and administrators. Visit PCADevZone.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The NFL Draft kicks off today in Pittsburgh. The 7 rounds will last 3 days. Round 1 begins today at 5 p.m. local time. The Rams have the 13th pick in the first round. The Chargers have number 22. The number 1 overall pick belongs to the Las Vegas Raiders. They're expected to take Indiana University quarterback and Heisman Trophy winner Fernando Mendoza. Live coverage of the draft will be on ESPN, ABC, and the NFL Network. The Dodgers are in a slump. They're 1-4 in their last 5 games. They were shut out 3-0 Wednesday night at San Francisco. In the Dodgers' last 2 games, they have a combined 7 hits and have left 15 runners on base. Dodger fans should not feel too concerned. It's early. At 16-8, the Dodgers have the second best record in Major League Baseball behind the 17-8 Atlanta Braves. The Dodgers wrap up their 7-game road trip today against the Giants. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Whoa,
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
In a world full of noise, one station keeps it real. KBLA Talk 1580, where the conversation goes deeper, the voices sound like yours, and the issues that matter most to our community take center stage. Progressive, powerful, unapologetically us. Whether you're driving through the city or tuning in from your home or office, join the public square. KBLA Talk 1580. Your home for talk that enlightens, encourages, and empowers. Listen live on our free KBLA 1580 app, on our website at KBLA1580.com, or on your radio dial at 1580 AM.
Unapologetically progressive.
It's game day. Are your moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keeping you from the action? Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, could help you get back to the game. Skyrizi is proven to help people feel significant symptom relief, achieve remission, and visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. Skyrizi is a prescription injection medicine for adults. Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's or ulcerative colitis.
Control is everything to me.
Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 prescribed biologic in Crohn's and ulcerative colitis combined. Learn more at skyrizi.com or 1-866-SKYRIZI.
The joint will be jumping. Ebony Repertory Theater, in association with Big Street Films, brings you one of the most beloved musicals of all time. Tony Award winner, Ain't Misbehavin'. The soulful, swinging celebration of the music of Fats Waller. From the rollicking to the romantic, this show is pure magic, full of the songs that defined an era and the voices that'll make you forget everything else for a night. Foot stomping, heart stirring, unforgettable. Don't miss Ain't Misbehavin' at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center, starring Lettucey, directed by Ren T. Brown. This is the night out you've been waiting for. Tickets are going fast, so don't wait. Grab yours now at ebonyrep.org or call the box office today at 323-964-9766. Ebony Repertory Theater, bringing the culture, keeping the legacy alive.
Ain't Misbehavin' runs May 21st through June 8th at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center. Get your tickets now.
My name is Cynthia Mitchell. I've been an emergency room nurse in Los Angeles County for 25 years. I've been there through every fire season, every outbreak, every earthquake. Every time Los Angeles needed us, the doctors and nurses of Los Angeles County showed up. And right now, I'm seeing another disaster coming. Trump's cuts to Los Angeles County's healthcare system are a public health crisis in the making. Medi-Cal, public hospitals, disaster preparedness are all at risk, but we can stop it. Measure ER fights back against these cuts. For a half a penny, we keep emergency rooms open, care within reach for working families, and doctors and nurses serving the communities we love. When you vote yes on Measure ER, you're not just voting for healthcare, you're voting for LA. Vote yes on Measure ER by June 2nd.
Ad paid for by Yes on ER, Restore Healthcare for Angelino, sponsored by St. John's Community Health and Health Justice Action Fund. Ad committee top funder, St. John's Community Health.
Every morning, we rise and shine, make breakfast, and brush away the night's rest. These routines help us start the day off right. Nature Made vitamins are a simple step in that daily care regimen. Multivitamins with daily essentials, clinically studied probiotics for gut health support, magnesium to help relax the body. Nature Made is made to care for you every day. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Folly, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. This is the World House with Johnny Mack. Dr. Mack's research includes articulating the framework of Dr. King's efforts in peaceable power as direct structural cultural nonviolence with a correlating strategic, conscientious, and cultural action correlates. Mack thus argues nonviolence is a metalogic with direct structural and cultural forms that counterpose Johann Galtung's seminal conflict and violence triangles. Dr. Mack, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you, sir.
And our conversations with Atiba, which occur usually at the top of the hour on Thursday. Atiba is one of our great activists who's the former deputy executive director for the National Black Caucus of State Legislators. He brings a number of state legislators on the Jesse Jackson Jr. program every single chance. He knows legislators in every state in the union. Atiba, welcome forward to the show.
Thank you, Jesse. It's great to be here.
Johnny, just before the break, we were commenting, and you were going to comment on the worldview of MAGA, which doesn't take into account the broader, inescapable mutuality that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. advanced. Johnny?
Yes. And we're doing that just in the context of democracy and whether it's on the decline. And it is in many respects. And one of the thoughts that comes to my mind is democracy seems to work for those who are in the majority. And, as we see the growing or the growth of the southern half of the global hemisphere, again, keeping this in the global context, one of the reasons it seems to me democracy is on the decline in the Western world is those numbers are exceeding those who have traditionally been in power. And that really is the challenge, I think, for too many Western governments. Democracy is of, for, and by the people. And the question is, who then are the people? The discussion that you and Tucker had largely centered around immigration. And that immigration means that there are people moving into the state and increasing not only the numbers of the state, but the numbers of those who vote in opposing parties in the case of our form of government. And so democracy tends to be on the decline when those who may have been in the majority suddenly find that they indeed are in the minority. And that's one of the challenges that we face, again, not only here in the United States, but in much of the Western world. We've got to come to grips with that, I think, as a global community in what King called this world house.
Johnny, let me ask you this question. Didn't you find it ironic that one of Jefferson's usurpations of the king's power in the Declaration of Independence actually speaks to naturalization of foreigners and the way in which the king had singled them out? And I might add, when we talk about the original intent of the Constitution, the document begun on September 17th, 1787, they argue that what the founding fathers intended on the question of immigration, which, by the way, left out the 14th Amendment to the Constitution until the slaves and the struggle against slavery, the abolition movement added the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment to the Constitution. But if there's any lack of clarity on the question of the foreigner and the naturalized citizen, while it may not have been in the 1787 document, it certainly was in the 1868 document, and it's sitting right here in the Declaration of Independence. In case there's any sense that these states should be filled by people who are likely to be immigrants and welcomed to the United States, albeit, of course, this argument is being made at the height of the nation's slave trade. Did you find that somewhat ironic?
Somewhat ironic is an understatement. Except for the arcane language, one might find Jefferson's words penned in the Washington Post, the New York Times today, in reflecting upon our current state of affairs, specifically with respect to immigrants. I found it quite astounding as you read it, and I could see in Tucker's face, and he even admitted being surprised, to hear what Jefferson had written.
Said about the executive branch. He was talking about the king.
Yes.
He was saying the king is not allowing immigration,
Yes.
and we're welcoming it. So the executive, the very executive in our system, the
Yes.
executive that is
The no
evolving,
Yes.
has the
So-
exact opposite position as Jefferson.
Exactly. And then keep in mind, Jesse, most of the electorate in America, in the U.S., are immigrants.
Absolutely.
Now, there are some of us who are not descendants of immigrants, but descendants of slaves brought against their will, and that doesn't quite qualify for the definition. But when one imagines or one realizes that most of the electorate, barring that which I've already indicated is not, is an immigrant. So what do we do about that in today's world? And how is it that we now define and decide that immigrants are not welcomed? That is what is so ironic.
Can I just say this, Johnny, before we come forward? And then, of course, I'm going to allow this conversation to continue into the final segment of our show. I thought it particularly interesting that, let me be crystal clear, that Tucker is one of the brightest influencers anywhere. And what distinguishes Tucker from other influencers is the role that he plays in the body politic. He's not just out here promoting fashion or promoting perfume or promoting how to model or walk down a runway. Tucker's influence is extraordinary in a space that determines the direction of the free world. And whether you are for MAGA or against MAGA, there's simply never been an influencer on the scale, on the subject matters of Tucker Carlson. He is extremely difficult to debate. I got no sleep last night, nor was I planning on debating him. In fact, I probably wouldn't accept the debate with Tucker Carlson. That's not the point. I like to pick his brain and find out what he's thinking, because he has a mind just like that. I'm particularly grateful that he gave us his time right here at KBLA Talk 1580 so we can see what the best and brightest is thinking in the MAGA world and in the MAGA space, and those who have had tremendous influence in the architecture of what created the 47th president of the United States. Believe it or not, Tucker Carlson is part of and still very influential in that space. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. More with Johnny Mack and Atiba when we come forward.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
My name is Cynthia Mitchell. I've been an emergency room nurse in Los Angeles County for 25 years. I've been there through every fire season, every outbreak, every earthquake. Every time Los Angeles needed us, the doctors and nurses of Los Angeles County showed up. And right now, I'm seeing another disaster coming. Trump's cuts to Los Angeles County's healthcare system are a public health crisis in the making. Medi-Cal, public hospitals, disaster preparedness are all at risk, but we can stop it. Measure ER fights back against these cuts. For a half a penny, we keep emergency rooms open, care within reach for working families, and doctors and nurses serving the communities we love. When you vote yes on Measure ER, you're not just voting for healthcare, you're voting for LA. Vote yes on Measure ER by June 2nd.
Ad paid for by Yes on ER, Restore Healthcare for Angelenos, sponsored by St. John's Community Health and Health Justice Action Fund. Ad committee top funder, St. John's Community
You better work.
She's rooted in culture and rising in power. Los Angeles City Council member Karen D. Price Jr. invites you to the District 9 Women's Leadership Summit, a powerful gathering celebrating the women who shape our communities. Join us Sunday, May 3rd from 1 to 6 p.m. Registration is open now, but space is limited. District 9 residents receive special priority. This event is free. Call 323-846-2651 to reserve your spot. That's 323-846-2651. Be rooted, be powerful, be there.
Getting around LA doesn't have to cost a lot. Metro has fares that fit every budget. 20 free rides for qualified riders through the Life Fare program. Free passes for students with GoPass and affordable options for everyone in between. Wherever you're going, Metro's got you covered. Visit metro.net/fare programs.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. Ask yourself this question. Is it really worth holding on to that timeshare that you know you need to get rid of? Here's the truth. The average maintenance fee just went up over 17%. That could have been 117%, and there's nothing you can do about it. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check for annual maintenance and assessment fees. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. For 15 years, I've helped over 50,000 families cancel their timeshare. Not sell it, not transfer it, cancel it. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment and your maintenance fees would never go up? That's a lie. Are you ready to get rid of your timeshare once and for all? Simply call us and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit that explains all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your timeshare exit kit. 800-242-1551. That's 800-242-1551. 800-242-1551.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a whole lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 joins you in standing for voting rights. The midterm election campaign season is here now.
The 2028 presidential election is right around the corner. When We All Vote is a leading national nonpartisan initiative on a mission to change the culture around voting and to increase participation in each and every election by helping to close the race and age gap. Created by Michelle Obama, When We All Vote brings together individuals, institutions, brands, and organizations to register new voters across the country and advance civic education for the entire family and voters of every age to build an informed and engaged electorate for today and generations to come. When We All Vote empowers their supporters and volunteers to take action through voting, advocating for their rights, and holding their elected officials accountable. It's all in for 2026 and 2028. Please visit whenweallvote.org to stand up for your rights, voting rights. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Michael's Daughter Foundation is dedicated to inspiring youth and resilience through storytelling, arts, filmmaking, and enrichment programs for youth and families in under-resourced communities and system-impacted individuals. The Michael's Daughter Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit providing free and low-cost arts programs to youth and families from under-resourced communities, both system-impacted youth and those affected by the incarceration of a loved one. 1 in 43 children in America have a parent incarcerated. 70% of those children are expected to end up in prison. Through filmmaking, animation, theater, and writing, they help young people express themselves, build confidence, and imagine new possibilities. Beyond the arts, they offer financial literacy workshops, emergency support, and scholarships. Because thriving takes more than talent, it takes access. To learn more about the impact of Michael Daughters Foundation and how you can be a part of the movement, please visit their website, michaelsdaughterfoundation.com. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Folly drops the beat. You wanna talk with me? Come on and listen to the me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. We are exploring in this World House with Dr. Johnny Mack our previous conversation with Tucker Carlson, one of the most important influencers in the United States, and maybe, given the role that the United States plays in the world, one of the most important and significant influencers in the world, who gave us an hour of his time here at KBLA Talk 1580. In this final segment, I want to allow Atiba, who is one of the thoughtful, very thoughtful, every one of our contributors are, but oftentimes Atiba helps us think outside the box, outside, if you will, of our liberalism and our progressivism, to see things from the other side. I'd like Atiba to take his time and reconcile with us and reconcile for us, if you will, the opposites. What we can glean from it, the message offered by Tucker seems to be limited to the war. There are questions, however, and an acknowledgement that these debates over the economy and over the money and spending priorities at home can come, Atiba, with a very heavy price. Atiba, please take your time.
Yeah, thank you, Jesse. You know, a few things. One, Tucker brought up that also that he talked about his fear that we may be going toward a recession. And one of the things that I keep going back to is where we were as a country 100 years ago is exactly where we are right now. Isolationism, America first, immigration issues. But I think it's really important also for us to go back to understanding the history of the country. First off, the 8th president of the United States, Martin Van Buren, was the first president to be born as a U.S. citizen. So that means the first 7 presidents before them were born as British subjects. And yet we're having an issue and talking about immigration. And not only that, he spoke Dutch for the first part of his life. He didn't speak English. So I think it's, important for us to think too. I said earlier, and I was going into myths and in terms of where we are. And I think that there is a myth that has been told to the American people that America is this great nation. America, the country, isn't the great nation. It's the people who make a country great. And when we're divided, it takes away the greatness. And so these divisions and things that we have, we look at the president's house, and I carefully don't call it the White House. It's the president's house. It's a military base. That's, when you think about where the president is, and you think about the Situation Room, you think about the fact that it's the commander in chief that lives there. The White House is a beautiful structure that was created that also looks like and subconsciously brings about an image of a plantation house. And when President Obama lived there, it wrestled up other issues in people's tissues that how can this family that doesn't look like me live in this house? But I think that President Obama tried to do everything he could as one person to try to keep the country together. Now, in the midst of all this, what we got later was the country saying, we don't want a woman to live in that house. We don't want a woman to be the commander in chief. We don't want a woman to lead the country. And so what we ended up getting was hate. So we went from hope to fear. And it's going to be up to us, the people, to cast away this idea. Even if you look at the Lincoln Memorial, it looks almost more Greek or Roman. And that was the idea then of that there was an imperial leader and that the people were the subjects. America tried to break away from that 250 years ago. And for 250 years, we've had a democracy. And we have allowed these political parties, this idea that my ethnic community is better than your ethnic community. And that is all of us. I'm not just talking about white. I'm talking about all of us have fallen into this abyss. And we're in this hole that we keep digging for ourselves. And we're not going to get out of it until we decide that we want to crawl out of it, that we want to climb out of it. And I think that oftentimes we as a community are said, well, they always say that we have to be better. Well, I embrace that. I want to be better because us being better makes everyone else better. We're the ones who bring about in the culture, the music, the science, so many different things. And I think that ultimately, if we just recognize what's in us and we recognize that the better qualities of what's in us are why God had a plan to bring us here in the first place. If we can embrace that, if we can look at others and say, I'm going to listen to someone else before I start talking about what I have a problem with. What is their problem? That's why I really applaud Tucker for coming on the show. And I hope he comes back on the show because I think we need to listen to him and others if we want them to also listen to us.
I welcome him on the show, and he's always welcome on the show. As well, Johnny Mack. Atiba, very quickly, how can we support your work? Tell us about Saving Grace very quickly. And Johnny, right after that, I'd like you to share with us how we can support your work in the World House. Atiba?
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Saving Grace is a novel and a labor of love. But a lot of my work right now, Jesse, is really going into a platform called Midterms Effing Matter. And it is really just about how we're going to work together to mobilize people to vote in numbers too large to manipulate the outcome in 2026.
Is that a website?
It's Midterms Effing Matter, midtermsfing matter.com.
Okay. Johnny Mack.
You're going to get your shirt soon. You laughing now. You're going to get your shirt soon. I expect you to wear it too.
Okay, Jesse. Thank you, Jesse. The World House Project, 4 words, theworldhouseproject.org. Yeah, that's our website. You can find out about our work and make a tax-deductible contribution.
Thank you, Johnny. Thank you, Atiba. I want to thank Tavis Smiley and KBLA Talk 1580, our producer and executive producer, Gina Towns. Also, Kathy Rivera for her assistance over the last 24 hours in preparation for my discussion with with Tucker Carlson. I also want to thank our very special guest, Tucker Carlson, for giving us up his time, and we look forward and hope that he will find a comfortable space to come over here and have this kind of debate and this kind of dialogue right here at KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Until tomorrow, Fat Meat Fridays on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show with Gina Towns. More when we come forward in just a moment.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica,